Hello, everyone. Thank you all so very much for joining us yet again. Today, we're going to be talking about The Boys, Season 4, Episodes 1 through 3. And of course, we're going to start with Department of Dirty Tricks. Today, I have with me some longtime friends of mine. Today, he's known as E-Chad. Also, we have Aaron P. I'm just gonna call them Chad and Aaron. As I said before, we're gonna be talking about The Boys, Season 4, Episodes 1 through 3. So let's get started. So first, Victoria Newman is still the vice presidential pick, and the boys are trying to get intel to bring her down. Butcher is basically still feeling the effects of the V compound, but he isn't fully trusted by the team. Homelander and his son are also at the event with Newman. Homelander has found a long gray pube, and that freaks him out. Newman's daughter and Homelander's son are getting acquainted while Homelander tries to control Newman. Butcher sees Homelander's son and is doing his very best to get him away from Homelander. Homelander shows up and discovers Butcher is dying. Homelander's son walks away with Homelander despite Butcher's pleas. Frenchie and Kimmy are caught by Newman's daughter in their hotel. They realize she's a soup. She kills the guards. Starlighter, also known as Annie January, saves them by having them jump out of a window. Anything that we want to...
Yeah, right there. So this is a question because I don't... Between all the other seasons of The Boys and GenV, I've kind of forgotten some stuff. When did we meet Newman's daughter? I'm pretty. She seems like she was there, but kind of vaguely. And I don't like. I know we just found out that she's a suit, but was there any inkling when we met her before? Because I really don't remember this little kid.
You gotta remember in season 3, they bring her in, right? When you have she comes along, and basically that was her real reason behind kind of in one sense betraying Esposito's character. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but that's why he's in jail, right? That was the whole thing. He was supposed to give up. She was supposed to give up Homelander, but the thing was, she felt like it was too big of a risk because she had the child, which in season 3, that's what you're talking about it, right? So now you come into, this season is basically, in The Boys in general, mirrors real life, right? So everything that you see here, all the way down to the graphics, to the pictures and everything. I mean, we have, for the sake of copyright infringement, this year's election, and those who are running in the election, basically mimicked in the show. So to see her and to see kind of like some of the nonchalant ways that it comes about, that, you find out more of her powers, which I didn't know she was invulnerable to bullets. Like, when did that happen? Brand new.
I think this was the episode that we found out.
But like, you find out immediately.
See, I thought when that happened, I thought that some of the suits they have their like little special powers, but I thought they were like automatically, if you were a suit, you were like invulnerable to a certain degree and like strong to a certain degree, and then you had whatever other special thing you could do. So like when he shot her, I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, oh, that's just standard suit stuff. But then later we see other people get like capped, and their suits too. So I guess it is something different with her.
So let me ask you: did you like read the comic books?
I've never read The Boys. I've heard my introduction to The Boys before the show was there's this comic out there and you should never ever read it because it is like the worst thing ever. That's how I was introduced to The Boys, and then from there,
the worst thing ever.
Yeah, it was like the people that said it read a lot of comics and they like used Preacher, which is a comic by the author of this. Is a comic he did before that, which I did read, and they're like, this, like, I wouldn't tell people that read Preacher to read this. And Preacher, spoiler for people who haven't read Preacher, Preacher ends with guy getting shot in the head. So, like, they're like, if you read that.
With who getting shot in the head?
God.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That we'd have to go into preach a
That's a
whole
whole
nother
different
time.
story
But
right there.
yeah. But they're like, if you read that, we're telling you this is more violent, more graphic, and more way out there than this. And I was like, okay, I'll trust your judgment. And I just never got around to reading it, but I heard stuff about it. Not enough to know everything, but I got the gist of it.
Yeah. And I mean, I haven't read the comic either. I know from, just seeing different things and kind of getting abreast of it now, like it's different in some ways and it's the same and or better in others. So the show itself, in essence, you don't need the comic to really appreciate it, which is really good because there are some shows, some adaptations where it's like, if you haven't read the comic, if you don't know the backstory, all the little funny parts that people love, you won't get.
Mm-hmm.
But here, kind of to dovetail back into what you were talking about, the reason I never thought like everybody had a level of invulnerability, you go back to last season, the big episode that everybody was talking about, Herogasm. Well, you have the guy that shrinks that they step on, so he dies. And it's like, okay, cool. So that's your thing to shrink, but I can step on you, I can kill you. So with her being able to be bulletproof, like my thing, like when I saw that, I was kind of confused because I'm like, is she bulletproof or is she controlling that around her head? Like, because she can control their brain or their head exploding. So is it that she just like, what is her power? Is it to instantly blow their head because people's nose are bleeding? So now she has that control over it. Is it over blood because you go to GenV? Is what specifically is her power? Because is she connected to, and this is about to go way too deep into it, but the main character of GenV with the blood powers, is she connected there? Is that part of her power? Because they talk about it in that, and kind of leading into it, because that's how you kind of get into episode 1 to see that her feature set, she's gotten stronger based upon what happened in GenV.
Yeah, and based on GenV, I think that her powers are the same as I should know this because we talked about GenV a lot last year. But that main character with the blood powers, I cannot remember her name. It seems like their powers are the same. Marie, there it is.
Yeah,
I think their powers pretty much are the same. Because before GenV, we just knew her as the head popper, and that's all we thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
But when they tied it into that, it's like, oh, that explains it, and it shows. Because we will always say how now it shows how powerful Marie can be, but I don't know, the fact that Marie cuts herself to use her powers and she just got shot in the head and it ricocheted off. Either their powers are able to evolve to a point where it has that level of vulnerability, but there's something that might be learned, or she has another subset, but that we don't even know about.
Yeah, because with the acid, she's got to have a different subset.
Well, you know what? There's a question that I have to ask, and let me say this: I've only seen episodes 1 through 3. I haven't seen 4 and 5. So I have a question, and it's very clear to me what I need to know. It's very clear to me what I need to know. What is Newman's agenda now that, as you said, Esposito's character is no longer in the picture? What is Newman's agenda? Do we know?
I think that's part of what we're going to find out. I think Phipps, you've seen the 4 and 5. I've only seen the first 3 too.
Mm-hmm.
So if they've developed it more in 4 and 5, I don't know. But it seems like she wants to be president, and she wants to take out Homelander.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I don't know what the end game is when you make those 2 moves for her. I mean, granted, it makes her the most powerful person in the world, essentially, but I don't know why she really wants that.
Well, you gotta think about it. She was built to be under the money, power, respect type thing, right? She was special built by Vought, or by Vaught's main CEO, Esposito, and I gotta look up his name, Esposito's character, but that's why she came about. That's why she was involved, because they wanted to get integrated with the military. They wanted to get integrated with government. So that's where her role was. She had to be integrated in the executive portion of the government so that she could have that power and basically take out the president. And now she's the president. So she runs the president. He runs VOD, who technically runs the Oval Office, and now they have all the power. He can control everything through her.
So let me ask a question. All right, so they've made it plain to us that Homelander's son is the first to be born of the blood with whatever it is that they have, right? But we're finding out that Newman's daughter also has abilities. Who's number one? Well, number two, who's stronger? Is it Newman, her character, or Homelander? Who's stronger?
Homelander.
I think it's Homelander.
It's got, well, here's the thing. I think Newman believes it's Homelander, but Homelander doesn't know if Newman is stronger. Meaning, like, I think they both have a level of, like, they respect each other. Like, they respect the power set enough where Homelander won't come in there and just be like, I'm gonna do whatever I want because you can't hurt me. He knows that maybe she can, but Newman doesn't think she can she doesn't think she can finish the job. Like, she can probably damage him, but not hurt him or kill him.
Yeah. Homelander, to me, operates under the assumption that nothing can touch him. The only time we've seen him think something can touch him was when he met Soldier Boy last season, and he got freaked the fuck out and he left. So to him, nobody, like, it doesn't matter who you are. I'm the top dog. Y'all can't kill me. I can kill all of y'all, and that's how he operates. I don't think he even considers that she can pop his head. I'm sure she's thought about it, but I don't think, like Phil said, I don't think she thinks she can do it either. So at that point, we're just like Homelander, then her in the hierarchy. I think that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue. We're still with episode 1. So Mother's Milk has been called to meet with Grace, and again, Butcher is not trusted to enter the meeting. The president-elect knows Newman is a soup and wants her dead. While Butcher is waiting, he is reacquainted with an old friend, Kessler, who is aware of everything. I mean, he's aware of everything. He tempts him to work with him. Mother's Milk's daughter is having problems with aggression. I'm assuming that's a storyline for a little bit later in the season. Homelander is having dreams of people he's killed and seeing an image of a familiar door. Yes, a familiar door. He's also on trial for murder. Deep is also on TV talking about his relationship with an octopus. Okay. Vought needs more people to join the 7. Okay. So right here, I saw an image of Dog Knot. I don't know if you all even remember that particular person, but I've seen him on other shows, and I'm assuming he's also going to become important to this storyline. Does anyone know what I'm talking about when I say Dog Knot?
Yes. So he it's one of the Easter eggs that's in the show, because he's one of the ones that they think about joining the 7 before Sister Sage, right? Which we'll get into Sister Sage, because I think she's going to play a major role as we talk about Victoria Newman, as we talk about the boys. She's going to play a role somewhere. That my assumption. That's what I'm thinking right now. So you have him. That's, I'm not going to say a throwaway character, but it was there for a laugh, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. So maybe I overshot there. All right. So moving on. Homelander wanted Sister Sage, and that led to both a tense scene and one I had secretly been hoping for since the series began. Homelander orders Deep to blow A-Train, and both assume the position with Homelanders until Homelander stops them. What are your thoughts about that particular scene?
I mean, self-preservation. My boys was like, listen, when he said it's a spectrum, I was like, oh, it's about to go down. And I mean, it's everybody's under duress. Everybody knows that literally anything can trigger him to kill you on accident, let alone on purpose. Like, he's killed people in front of them accidentally, and it was like, oh well, whatever. We'll literally replace you, i.e., Black Noir. Now we got somebody talking. Like when you have the guy that he's killed that was closest to you sitting next to you, you start to look at life a little bit different.
Right.
And it begs the question: what is it that Deep and A Train has been doing all these years to remain alive? I mean, he's killed. What was her name? Maeve. He killed Maeve.
Yeah.
Like
Well, no,
Maeve's
still
well,
alive.
she's alive, right.
But he tried to kill her.
Yeah, he damn near. But he killed his first the first lady. That was his handler, but the main person where
I don't remember her name in the show, but it's Elizabeth Shue. It's from
yes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
And that was, but that's always been his connection. Which weirdly, he's all the milk aspect or the milk product, where he had her breast milk, right? So somebody's always had some type of tug on him to kind of take him, the Superman reference. Somebody's able to kind of pull him by his cape at all times. But now we're getting closer and closer to the point where who's gonna pull his cape, and that's kind of where he's going with what he was doing there. Like nobody's there to tell him no or say you're stupid, like whatever it is, like don't do this, go sit in the corner. Nobody's there to tell him that. Everybody's like, great idea. Hey, let's go burn the world. Great idea. Blow him. Great idea. Like that's just everybody's like, okay, perfect.
Literally blow him.
I mean, I think that's to your question. I think that's why they stayed alive. They've just been like, we're gonna shut up and take his shit, and it served them to this point, and to the fact that before now, he can't just kill everybody. Like you can kill Noir, and nobody's seen Noir. Who cares? You put somebody else in the suit, you tell them shut up. People don't know Noir is dead. A Train, he's like the only black dude on the team. You can't just straight up cap him.
Why not? Clearly he don't care.
Well, before he killed Homeboy at the end of last season, before he killed that dude in the rally, whatever. Before that, everybody was. You had the CEO, you had Elizabeth Shue's character, like all like handling him and saying, "We have this image, of you. You have to maintain it. You can't do these things." And once they're gone, and once he's killed this dude and got off for it, by the way, now it's who knows? He can kill anybody. He can kill because he's killed a whole lot more people since then, and nobody cares. They have just been, to this point, they have been faces in the 7. They've done what he's wanted. It would cause too many questions if they just showed up dead. So he hadn't killed him to that point.
Now, let me jump in though, because let's look at Translucent. Let's look at the lady, the other one that just came in that just passed away. The Nazi.
The Nazi.
Yeah,
but
I'm drawing a blank on her name. Jeez. But anyway, the point
they blamed her on somebody else. I think they blamed her on probably Soldier Boy. I can't remember.
I think so. But then you had A Train's actual replacement from last season that he comes and kills.
He did.
He killed the deaf superhero. Like he feels like he's above all of the others. So like in his mind, everybody kind of is replaceable unless you can show that you either provide something that he needs. So that's where, like I said, self-preservation. Everybody's just gonna, if you give him the love and affection that he looks for, then you're good. You don't like you're not on his radar. But if you push back against him and you don't make sense, you're going to die. Like that's just point blank period.
All right, let's continue. We got 3 episodes. We're 19 minutes in. All right, so Starlight is still trying to learn her powers. The group doesn't want Butcher. Again, they still don't want Butcher with them. Only Huey. Butcher meets with Newman to help each other out to get Homelander's son from him. They make a deal, but only if Butcher can get Huey's material of the Red River group home. Huey's dad has had a stroke. Firecracker is claiming that Starlighter has a dungeon of teens. Unmentionables we can't mention on this platform. Yeah, I don't know what I wrote there. All right, so Starlighter's team wants her to use her costume or her abilities. A new character by the name of Colin is introduced. You might remember him from Animal Kingdom, Titans, and a lot of voice work on video games. He says if she used her notoriety, they'd get more money. Frenchie lets it slip that he is a recovering addict in front of Colin and Starlighter, Colin's boss. There's sexual tension between these two characters. All right. Homelander keeps a jar of his gray pubes. Later, he visits Sister Sage to recruit her to the Seven. He reveals he's still not happy. She advises that people will tear down institutions. He just needs to put it all back together again, and then he'll be great. All right, so let's talk about the parallels spoken here and what's going on in American society or democracy. So far, how does this show relate right back to American society and democracy? Let's start with that.
I mean, they've kind of not tiptoed around it, but not made it. Not be so overt with it, but this season they're just like, all right, Homelander, he's Trump. If you don't believe he's Trump, we're going to tell you straight up, we're gonna put him on trial, he gonna get off, we're gonna have his adoring fans saying this whacked out crap. He Trump. And I think they did that because all the discourse around the boys, if you get online and see it, a lot of the people that are in those camps, that are in those circles, they never really thought that they were making fun of them with Homelander and the people that they like. I think they gravitated toward Homelander, but never put it together. But now they're like, nah, here it is. So of course these people are now saying that the show is woke. And I mean, we've watched all this. It's the same thing. Nothing has changed. They put it on Front Street. This is your dude. Yeah. This is you. Here it is, right here in the mirror. And they don't like what they see. And that plays out in the show. Those people don't like what they get fed these conspiracies, they get fed all these other lies and stuff, and they don't like the truth. So this is, I mean, it's kind of satirizing it, but I think not really, because I think they were satirizing it before, but now they're like, y'all are too stupid to get it. So here, this is what it is. And I think they really were blatant with it, particularly because it's election year. I don't think they couldn't have possibly known what's happening with Trump this year so far, but yeah, you knew something was going to happen going into the election year. So they've made it really obvious. This is what this is. You can learn from this, or you can be the idiots we make fun of. It's your choice.
Aaron?
It's kind of one of those things where it's like they almost wanted to make it over the top, where it's like, hey, we're going to talk about it, but this will never happen. Then unfortunately, it happened. Yeah. You know, like, oh, Homelander killed somebody. Everybody saw it. We put him on trial. He got convicted, but yeah, we're all good. That'll never happen. Wait, it did. You know, it's like, oh, he did get convicted. So, I mean, you go back and like that whole situation, I think they wanted to make it over the top. It just so happened that over the top became reality. And then kind of wrapping up where you talk about
fantasy is reality.
Yeah. I mean, the writers, all they did was come to work. They opened up a newspaper and said, done.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right.
So, you know, they were able to do that. But I mean, it's such a good connection between the two, because then you look on the flip side. You know, you got the boys where they're not, you know, we want them to be the good guys. We want them to be morally right, but they're not. Like, they have their own flaws. They have their own problems. They have their own, you know, is you know, Biden, and can he actually do it? So then you got my man here that has a freaking tumor, and we're like, how long is he going to last? Well, how long do we think Biden's going to be able to stay up there and talk to people and be conscious and do what's needed? Well, you have the same thing that's right there. Like, you have both sides of the coin, but we want to see this person prevail, or do we? Do we want to see Homelander win? Do we want to see his son take over? You know, these are the questions that, you know, depending on what you think about the political landscape right now, is what we have going on. And
I didn't even think about it from that perspective.
I mean, it's very overt what they're trying to say this year. Like, this season is like, okay, here, lay it on the line. We're gonna make it funny. We're gonna make it interesting. But it is the same thing. What all on both sides. If you lean right, okay, how long can the left last? How long can they stay alive? Do they have a backup plan? Who's the guy that's going to get the job done behind the person that's currently getting the job done? And then, are we afraid? Because I mean, let's think about it. There's a lot of people that feel like, hey, are we afraid of if Trump wins again? Well, shit. Let me keep it 100. Are we afraid of Homelander can actually become?
Everybody's afraid of Homelander.
Exactly.
Even the people closest to him.
Exactly.
So it's literally the same thing back and forth. What you got going on in this show compared to what you got going on in reality.
All right. So Huey tells Butcher about his dad and Butcher hugs Huey to steal the thumb drive. Frenchie, Kamiko, and Mother's Milk are on their own mission. Kamiko tries to remind Frenchie they are not together and he is free to be happy. They see Sage with three men who love Homelander. Homelander orders Deep, A-Train, and Noir to kill the three devotees with bats. A-Train is the only one who didn't. Noir complains Mother's Milk and team, see, I don't understand what I wrote there. Anyway, Homelander goes to his trial. And
if you would, before you go further, can we just take a moment that I really appreciate that Sage, because she hates being called Sister Sage. You know, that's the branding propaganda. But I really appreciate how they make sure that you have to say she's the smartest person and not the smartest woman. They always, like, she always corrects it. A-Train corrected it. A lot of the characters, and this could just be me looking at it from the wrong way, but a lot of the characters of color corrected that point. But the other people, other characters, they always start off by saying she's the smartest woman. So I don't know if that's something that they meant to put in there, but just something I thought was interesting, that Sage is always brought up as the smartest woman by a person of color that I saw. That I could be wrong, but it was something that was noticeable to me.
Look at you in California. Look at you.
All right, Phipps. Yeah. Yeah, because I saw all the corrections, but I never paid attention to who was saying it. So yeah, that's a good catch by you. And it would make sense that the people of color will be able to pick up on. I mean, it's one of those, you know, microaggressions of even though she is clearly the smartest. If you're just saying it's the smartest woman, it's neglecting all the other people. Like, any man could be still smarter than her. Some stuff. So no, that's a good catch on you. Good job.
All right. So Homelander goes to his trial and the verdict of not guilty is read. Sage starts a conflict between the Starlighters and Hometowners. Is that right? Hometowners? I'm calling them Hometowners. Starlighter wants to defuse the situation. Frenchie saves Colin and they kiss. A-Train is ordered to take the three dead bodies to the courthouse, and the deaths are blamed on the Starlighters. Mother's Milk knows what really happened. Ryan, Homelander's son, says he doesn't want Butcher to die. Homelander talks bad about Butcher. Ryan said his mother loved Butcher, but Homelander asks, but what about you? Meaning, did you love Butcher? That was a loaded question. Obviously, they cut away, so we didn't really get to see what he said. Deep is talking to Ambrosius as she tries to soothe him. There's a lot going on right here with Deep. I just want to say, in bed, Frenchie doesn't seem too comfortable with Colin. He sees a picture of his family and puts it face down. All right. So when I was watching episode 1, I didn't know what the hell was going on. All right. So Huey is in the hospital with his dad. He He's still not doing well when his long lost mother walks in. Butcher hallucinates Ryan's mother, and she says he's going to fuck over Huey again, but also reminds him that Ryan can't become like Homelander because it means the end of the world. Ugh. Butcher texts Newman a picture of his hairy ass. Any thoughts about that?
I thought this is probably one of the most hilarious parts when Butcher sent that ass pic and how they zoomed in on that photo. Bravo on the cinematography.
That's why I had to wonder if it actually was his, because I mean it's like
very flat.
Well, not even. I mean, he's fretting them. So who's taking the picture? Yeah, and Butcher ain't got no friends. So
that photo is in there.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's not like a wide shot where he like set it up to like, I don't know how you do it. If you can do it on phone, I'm sure you can, where you do a delayed thing, but you'd have to set it up and run over there, bend over, and spread them to get just that perfectly framed, just like right there. So, but yeah, I laughed a lot when
By the way, I've never seen an ass so hairy before. I'm just saying.
It was cool.
Yeah,
but I was so it makes me think like, okay, they're going back and forth, almost a will she won't she type situation where, okay, is he gonna do whatever's necessary to get at Homelander, which has always been his thing. Mm-hmm. Is he gonna show restraint? Because that's what Mother Milk wants him. That's kind of the pro and the con. But then, it's at this point that at some point you have to go. You have to. I hate to use this quote. If they're going low, we have to go high. Nah, sometimes you're gonna have to go low. You're gonna have to go lower than them. When they did the 3 bodies, which one of the bodies was Mother Milk's wife or ex-wife. His girl, her boyfriend. Right. So that was in itself was like, dang, like, we hate to see him go, but I mean, you was in a way with my man and his wife and his daughter. So yeah, he might have to go. Okay, but now like that in itself showed, Sage is like, she's ahead of the game. Like, she was showing her work. She was showing that she could actually talk back to him, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying before with Homelander. If you're not talking back to him and making sense or doing exactly what he wants, you have no in between. She's able to at least have some kickback and say, okay, that's why she was on. She has to be the one to think for him.
But even if you make sense and he knows you're making sense, and she called it, she's like, I don't think your ego can handle it, as we're gonna see later on. Yeah, he doesn't try to fuck over her at any point, but he does continuously mess up her plans, which results in Ryan killing the person later on.
Mixed results, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say all bad results. Nothing goes right once he starts showing up in the middle of her plans.
Yeah, true.
All right, so in episode 2 of The Boys, in a scene from the 1990s, we see A-Train involved with selling drugs. His white coach tries to save him. We learn it's really a movie set. A-Train complains that this wasn't his life. The new noir complains about killing people to A-Train, and he, meaning A-Train, tells him to just do what he's told. Thoughts about this scene?
I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, so first of all, I feel like, and I hate to say this, I feel like whoever Black Noir is, A-Train got him on. That's his homeboy. They got him on. The way they be talking is like, bro, just shut up. Like, dang, your whole thing is just to be quiet. Like, shut up. I'm trying not to die out here. Be cool. And I don't know.
And I'm trying to save you too.
Listen, it is what it is. Just shut up, do the job. Let's keep it moving. And then when he put on a full blindside move, I was like, oh, this is hilarious.
when Will Ferrell showed up, at first I was confused. I was like, kudos to them for getting the big star, but why the hell is he here? And then it hit me like, oh, this is some movie shit. I forget they do that in this world.
Vought plus, you know.
All right, so
what we're saying, everything is mirroring the actual, like right now, what's going on. It's making fun of everybody.
Yeah. So Starlighter and Huey see the news that seems to condemn the Starlighters. Huey is with his mom and dad at the hospital. Huey and his mom are not getting along. He learns his dad and mom are in a relationship, and she has the power of attorney. Frenchie and Colin have a one-night stand, but Frenchie is caught walking out. Frenchie is keeping his distance. Up to this point, what clues do we have to show why Frenchie is keeping his distance? This is episode 2. What clues do we have, if any?
Well, I'll say, like, my thought was, well, first of all, it feels like, as we were talking about, people want to say the woke season, his sexual fluidity could be a part of what's going on, right? Because him and Kimiko primarily were a thing last season. I mean, up until the start of episode 1, we thought, you know, either they cared for each other or they were actually together. And then we kick it off and they verbally state, we're not together. Cool. He's not with Colin. But is he? Does he still have feelings? Like, where are we going back and forth with it? Because, I mean, now all of a sudden he's, you know, pansexual, right? Anybody can get
it. I do want to. I want to go. I want us to go back to season 1. He did state that he was bisexual in season 1.
Oh, I don't remember that. Okay.
Yeah, of course I paid attention to it.
I didn't. That's what I'm saying. I didn't pay. Because you never see him with anybody else except for Camille.
Right. Yeah. Right. All right. So. Kimmy or Kimiko is seeing a speech therapist. I'm saying speech therapist, but really a psychotherapist. And we learned her mutism is psychological, and it seems to be related to her parents. Butcher tells the team he is going to die. Mother's Milk benches him and tells him to get the fuck out. Trying to up the profile of Homelander's son, Ryan, Vought is planning to introduce is planning his entrance, into superhero territory. Ryan clearly doesn't like it. Sister Sage also doesn't like it. We see cracks between Homelander and Sister Sage, but she wins. This goes back to something that Phipps mentioned earlier. Ashley Barrett, that's the white girl that's kind of over the 7. She confronts Sister Sage, trying to help her with Homelander, but Sister Sage rebuffs her. When Deep pitches an opportunity for him to be included, Ashley says, "Stupid people who think they're smart make me want to eat my own shit." Any thoughts about that? Any thoughts about any of those scenes? Really?
So I'm gonna start. Just I got a laugh out of the mock-up of Ryan as Homeboy. Just the whole thought of that, especially with Sister Sage sitting right there, like, don't none of y'all think this is stupid? Like, this ain't gonna work. You're gonna put this white boy, call him Homeboy, and that one of the dudes pitching is the black dude. It's like, okay, y'all have been up these white people ass so long, you don't even know what's going on anymore. But on the Sister Sage, so she puts me in like this dilemma in the fact that she's doing some reprehensible shit, and I know it's all bad, but she's a black woman and she's really just like running shop over all these white people, and I can't help but, like, you know, have that part of me that wants her to win everything, even though I know it's all terrible. So she is a very good character because it puts me in that conflicted space. I want her superiority to be shown, and she knows she's superior. And she knows every one of them, y'all ain't shit to me, and I just got to deal with y'all. I respect that. I respect that a lot.
Aaron,
I'm right there with you. Like, I'm hoping that she has some other superpower as well, because at some point she's gonna have to get her hands dirty more than what she's done before. But yeah, man, it's gonna get good. I think I'm gonna just throw this out there. I have no clue if this is right. I think she plays such a big role, she plays such a big role in the demise of Homelander, or Homelander is gonna off her very, very soon. I don't know. It's gonna be one or the other, because at some point, you know, as we said, we're going back to reality, right? That white male superiority complex being told by a woman, which now this is where we get really good because he's always been told by a woman, like that's who knocks him down. But now you have a black woman kind of knocking him down, being that person to pull him down. You had Ashley before, you have Sister Sage now, you had his Becky, or whoever her name was, the mom. So there's always been a woman that's been able to knock him down a level. But how he also kills everybody that knocks him down a level. So we're gonna see.
Her name is Madeline, so we can.
Okay.
But yeah, you were. I mean, it's only been an episode. Like she told him this towards the end of episode 1. Your ego cannot handle me being smarter and telling you stuff, and he was like, "Nah, I'm cool." And it's only 5 minutes into the second episode, and there it is right there. So yeah, I would imagine he's gonna laser her sooner than later.
Yeah.
Okay. So also in episode 2, the boys minus Butcher realizes A-Train was involved with the death of the guys in episode 1. They also realize Sister Sage is involved. As they plan Ryan's emergence as a soup, Ryan is having problems committing. Homelander wants him to put his back into it. But Deep also has a problem with killing people. Deep decides to put Ashley in her place. Homelander overhears producers complimenting his son while simultaneously hearing them basically calling him old. Mother's Milk, Frenchie, and Kimiko find Butcher waiting on them at a TruthCon convention. Kimmy has a flashback of herself fighting. The gang sees Sister Sage and follow her. Sage goes to Firecracker. She's an alt-right conservative saying Starlighter is a pedophile. Frenchie is sent to watch Splinter. Kimmy advances Frenchie's relationship with Colin by sending Colin a text saying he could use some dick after drinking 8 beers. They find Splinter engaged in a compromising position with himself. Any thoughts about those scenes?
Yeah.
So you were saying Splinter, and I didn't know his name. So I'm like, who the hell is Splinter? And then once you got to the end, I'm like, oh, that dude, Pink Eye. That's who that is.
That's his name. That's his name, Pink Eye. Go ahead.
So I'll just get this out the way. So we meet Firecracker, and we all know, if you don't know who she is, she's Marjorie Taylor Greene. They just put that on Front Street too. Like again, there is no subtext this season. It is just text. Firecracker's Marjorie Taylor Greene. She says all this crazy ass shit. A certain sect of white men are really into that kind of stuff, i.e. Splinter, and they do crazy shit about it. And she
talk about it.
Even when she's at the con, she's like, these people. She basically said they ain't got shit, so I'm gonna give them this, and at least they have this, and they'll feel better about themselves. That's all she is. That's all Marjorie Taylor Greene is. Again, no subtext, just text this season.
Straight raw and cut this season.
Yeah.
Like copy paste, and that is it. And I mean, you get to see all these people because if you look at January 6th, where people went out and they did all these crazy things on behalf of somebody else, you have this right here. You have a true conference where they're sitting up here and telling you all like literal lies that can be factually proven. And then when it's shown that okay, we have something on you, she then turns it around and turns it into a Starlighter issue with it is a lot that is going on, but I say it like this. It's probably one of the funniest scenes when you open the door and see this guy contracting. Okay.
Well, let's get into it. Let's get into it. But I just want everyone to remember that it was Aaron that said raw and uncut. But please continue.
Mr. Pink Eye, which comes back later because we got to remember this is the reason I didn't bring up Mr. Pink Eye because it's very important.
Move into it. So I don't have to read it.
Yeah. Then you got, like you said, you got the white guy that's Splinter, that's devoted beyond reason to her. and just do, and the people that are listening to what she's saying with no intention of like, is this making sense? I mean, it's literally how people are dying in the scene before, because the three guys that came out and died on behalf of the Starlighters, let's say, or on behalf of Homelander, they were Homelander supporters, came out and said, okay, great, you're gonna do this cause for me. Boom, die. Like, what? And they happily, like, what? No, that doesn't make sense.
Well, Chad, can you describe the fight scene for us?
So this takes place in what starts as an empty hotel ballroom and goes into a girl's bar mitzvah, and the whole thing with Splinter, his power is that he splits himself into multiple copies. And true to the boy's fashion, that means he has to be naked when he splits apart. So it's an army of this hillbilly white dude, butt ass naked, flopping all around, fighting.
What's flopping around, Chad?
I mean, he naked. It's his man parts.
His dick.
I was trying to think of something funnier, but I couldn't come up with anything besides man parts. So yes, his dick is just flopping around. So we got a whole bunch of floppy dicks just going around. This family atmosphere with this girl on the chair screaming, seeing these dudes come out there, getting slaughtered by Mother's Milk, Frenchie, and Kamiko. Is there somebody else in there?
Not yet.
No.
Okay. So so there's like one of them that's got clothes on. The rest of them are naked, and they are randomly dying. And because nobody has guns, this has to be an actual fight. So it's just a bunch of bloody floppy dicks going over. At one point, they all pile on to.
They got the guns in the beginning until they run out of bullets.
Yeah, they were having a gunfight, ran out of bullets. At one point, there's a dog pile of just a naked man on top of, I don't remember which one.
Butcher.
Butcher shows up, yeah. And that's where the pink eye comes back into play as he gouges one of them suckers in the eye. It's fight or flight, but I mean, you got to get off me, bro. There's just too much of you all around. And there's a lot of yous around.
Phipps.
A lot going on. And then, I mean, when they all confess their love of Firecracker, who, shout out Jubilee, but they all confess their love and then die all at once, and she runs out. It's like, dang, to see the love and affection that these other people, again, a mirror for this for reality, the love and affection that they show all the way down to their dying breath, and this woman couldn't care less about them dying, and she's like, oh, time for me to leave, I'm going. Like, it's just it's such a stark reality check that hopefully some people understand it, but it's they'll miss it.
Nah, the people that's for, they're not getting that.
Yeah.
All right, so Ryan is crying. Homelander thinks it's because he showed up. Yeah, I wrote that wrong. He showed up during his coming out, but Ryan tells him he killed Coy. Homelander says humans are beneath them. The accused were set free, and Starlighter decides to lead her group. Frenchie snorts drugs and refuses Colin's call. Instead, he calls an old friend. We learn Colin is the son of people he killed. Huey tells his mom her promises mean absolutely nothing. Kimmy gets more flashbacks. Then Butcher shows up. Mother's Milk thanks him for saving their lives. Butcher tells him he doesn't have the time to fix his mistakes and asks Mother's Milk for his help to save Ryan. Mother's Milk says too little, too late. What are your thoughts about that?
I wanted to jump in because we didn't talk about Huey much yet, right?
Yeah, I kind of skipped that because of time, but yeah, give us what you got.
I just wanted to touch on that because Huey, I think, when we're talking about his dad and giving away the rights and to the mom, he's been able to show kind of the strength that you've seen grow over the past few seasons, right? Because before he was really like ditzy, didn't make a lot of the smart decisions. You started to see his growth, and he's starting to become kind of higher in the importance of the boys, right? So now we come up to this point where he started. A-Train has helped him out. He's been able to forgive A-Train. He, his mom is coming back into his life, who he spent the entire episode trying to figure out how he was going to say your promises don't mean anything, which, it's just him processing through all the problems of her not being there the entire season or his entire life. And then you got, that all comes back to he's been so focused on this while everybody else has all these other things going on that he typically would be involved in. But you got Mother's Milk and his family, and Butcher, who he's about to basically kick the bucket. And Mother's Milk he wants Mother Milk to take care of Ryan when Ryan, we don't know Ryan might kill them in the process. He might be the one that gets the job done, So everybody's showing kind of their humanity in these scenes and what we have going on, but they're doing it all kind of separately. Like they're all on their own path. Because you got Frenchie about to, turn himself in or whatever. Like, he's crushed about what's going on with him and Colin. But then Kamiko has her own situation going on because we're starting to get more of the backstory about her. So I think, everybody at this exact juncture taking a path, they're all on their own journeys, individual journeys, kind of working side by side. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it all kind of comes back together and how they can become a team again.
Okay.
And out of that, I just wanted to point out that again, this with the Homelander and Ryan thing when he first shows up, and this is supposed to be Ryan's big, coming out party as a suit, and you find out that most of their saves are just staged and whatnot, and it all goes wrong because again, Homelander shows up because he got called old earlier, which I applaud him for not killing them dudes right there, but instead he goes and traumatizes his kid by freaking him out enough that he kills the stunt dude and makes him, wall pizza and whatnot. And the only other thing I'll go to in this point is the whole Butcher and Mother's Milk in this part. Mother's Milk has been really, really hard on Butcher, and normally Butcher would come in and give that side story, and he would relent and let him back on the team. And this time he's just like, nah, kick rocks, dude. And I thought that was interesting for him because Mother's Milk has been the more sympathetic or empathetic person on the team, and that Butcher has finally pushed him to the point where he's like, I can't do this with you anymore, even after he knows that Butcher's about to die. I thought that that's some nice development for him, and even though he kind of waffles on it later on, but that was nice progress for him.
Yeah, he's the boss now. He's taking Butcher's role, but also he's thinking about his family and them coming back because Butcher has made too many actions where it's like, I know I'm going to die, so I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. He's like, no, I'm trying to go back to my kids. Like, you can go down that suicide path. I can't go with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So in episode 3 titled, We'll Keep the Red Flag Flying Here, Homelander is at a rally and introduces the Seven and their 2 new members, Sister Sage and Firecracker. Butcher is meeting with his old friend Joe to help get Ryan from Homelander, but he doesn't want Ryan to be trained. Sage complains about remaining behind the scenes as opposed to now being in the Seven. She thinks Homelander is punishing her. Huey learns there's nothing he can do about his mom. Frenchie tells Colin they need to talk. An alt-right member tries to save kids from Starlighter, but Frenchie disarms him. Colin bandages him, but then he decides to kiss Colin. The president decides to disassociate his administration from Soups, which is like a chin check to Victoria Newman, which, by the way, remember, he knows that she's a Soup. Kimmy finds a shining light cell nearby and enlists Frenchie to go with her to kill them all. Mother's Milk decides he wants to flip A-Train. Butcher communicates with Ryan through a video game. Any thoughts about any of those scenes? scenes. I know I read through them real quick, but we're coming up to the 1 hour mark.
Shout out to the cinematography on that fight scene. When we saw the bubbles come out the guy's head, chef's kiss. Beautiful. I mean, whatever drugs he was on, because at first I thought it was Nico's version of it when I saw the previews. To see that it was Frenchie on whatever what he was on, beautiful. I mean, I won't talk much on it. We are coming up to that time, but great. It was a great scene. Great fight scene.
Yeah, I will say that. I will say that as well. I found it very amusing, and I started laughing when it happened. Yeah, the bubbles, I think, what really got me. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then you catch up, and it's like, oh yeah, he's tripping out during this fight.
Okay. All right. So next, Firecracker tries to come on to Homelander. Sage asserts her dominance with Deep. Ashley is dismissed from the meeting. Upset over Starlighter's reemergence, they discover footage was taken that cleared two Starlighters. Deep talks to Ambrosius, and we learn they haven't had sex in weeks. Ashley says she's going to finally quit. Ryan and Butcher meet. He attempts to drug Ryan, but changes his mind. He admits to Ryan that he's afraid to die. Butcher sees a dog with a British flag on it. And the reason I bring that up is because, I'm going to keep reading, Mother's Milk meets with A-Train in an attempt to flip him, but A-Train ain't buying that. But is he? Frenchie sees a dog with a British flag on it. So that's the second time that we see a dog with a British flag on it. All right. So Frenchie is high. Frenchie is high. Oh yeah, Frenchie's high is getting to him, which makes him useless. Kimmy kills everyone at the shelter, but Frenchie sees Colin in a hallucination, also sees his past victims and someone else from his past. Frenchie almost kills Kimmy's sister. You all kind of sort of talked about that fight scene. Sage and Homelander meet with an employee. Before they can find useful info, Homelander kills her. Instead of resigning, Ashley cuts up her resignation letter. Starlighter finds out she and Firecracker have a history, and she did some pretty shitty shit to Firecracker in the past. Any thoughts about those scenes?
Yeah. One thing that I thought about, and you guys gotta, you've seen it. I think we have to pay attention when people are when Butcher is talking to people. I think pay attention who's talking back or what they're talking about or how they're talking back, because you're talking about the pit bulls, right? You got a guy that's high, and you got somebody that talks to Becca, right? So, there's a lot of scenes where he's talking to people, and they're like, "Who are you talking to?" He's talking to Becca, but now is he talking to Becca? Is he talking to somebody else? Is somebody in the place? Like, I think that's going to play further into it, because is he going to see more people as he starts to get closer to death, or is
Are you saying that because you've seen episodes 4 and 5?
No, I mean in this episode, he has a conversation with Becca.
Well, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, you mentioned the dog, so I thought maybe all that is related.
I think he's just saying like they're in that case is Butcher and Frenchie, and they're both like unreliable narrators, because Frenchie's tripping off on stuff, and Butcher is constantly talking to people that ain't there. So, I mean, we know Butcher's dog cookie jar thing is there, but is the other dog there, or is it something that maybe Frenchie knows from Butcher, and he's tripping out on it? So we don't know. With these two, we don't know if what they're saying or what they're seeing is actually what we're seeing.
Interesting.
It makes you think about it, because you have the tumor that's going on, you have all these byproducts of it, and Becca is there, like when we've talked about it, like Becca's been there. So, but we know she's not. So, what can we rely on when he's talking to us? What can we not rely on? And I think that's gonna play a strong role in what goes on next, because we got to kind of rely on somebody to be the narrator that's telling us what's going on.
All right. So next, at the ice skating rink, it's just Mother's Milk and Huey. Mother's Milk makes Huey crawl through ventilation shafts. Victoria Newman is there with her daughter. Huey is trying to plant a bug, but Homelander and Sage show up. Huey can't move. He can't move because, of course, Homelander shows up. They talk about killing President Singer, but Homelander wants Newman to come out as a suit. Huey's sweat falls, and Homelander knows someone is there and tries to kill him. Instead, Homelander kills the skaters. A-Train saves Huey. Frenchie tells a story of when he was a boy, when his dad brought prostitutes home and had sex with them. Kamiko tries to help Frenchie, but he turns it around by asking who that girl was during the fight scene. Huey goes to the hospital and talks to his mom about why she left. She talks about postpartum. Butcher's old friend is upset with Butcher for not bringing in Ryan. His goal is to train him or kill him. Deep visits Sage and they have sex. Ryan returns home. Homelander knows he's been with Butcher. Homelander has a psychotic break and reasons he needs to overcome his need for love. Any thoughts about those scenes?
I will say that it took me a while. I had to watch that last scene with.
Well, you know what? Continue to collect your thoughts. There's one question that I want to ask. So through these 3 episodes, what I'm getting a sense from the writing is that they're asking us to rethink of these soups as entertainers. What are your thoughts about that? Do we really truly think of them as entertainers or as superheroes, whether they're good or bad? Are they entertainers or are they superheroes, good or bad?
So if I had seen GenV first and then came into the boys, I would say, okay, yes, they are entertainers, and they're entertainers with the potential to turn and do bad stuff. But being that I was introduced to the boys first, I ain't never thought of them as entertainers at all until like that very moment. I've thought of them as mostly incredibly dangerous, potentially psychotic human nuclear weapons. That's what they are. They have potential for devastating destruction, and most of the times they've done it, and it has not been good for the people around them that have no superpowers. But once Gen V came, you see them like they send some of them specifically to do the entertainment part. And I know that before the 7 would do the movies and all that stuff, I wouldn't think of that because Homelander's still capping people in the background. So I never think of them as like in that light. But Gen V specifically showed a light that there's some of y'all powers suck just enough that this is all y'all can do, and that's a place for y'all. And those are generally fine, but the potential is still there to do other stuff. So no, I don't think of them as entertainers. I think them in this world. Most of them were like menaces.
Aaron,
when you look at it too, with what the show is trying to have you believe, where it's a mirror of reality. Just to bring back, if you think about the TV show that came on years and years ago, Gladiators, like American Gladiator, right? Those guys and those men and women, they were characters. But if you really met some of them on the street, they could really mess you up, right? Yeah. They could really take care of this. So that's the biggest dilemma that we have going on there, where, you know, these Vought wants them to be characters, but then on the flip side, the business also wants to take their abilities and put them into the government, put them into the military, things like that. So that's going on season 1, season 2, season 3. But now that they're just solely focused on business, making sure that their business continues to roll, they have to be characters. They have to be these, you know, these assets that they're presenting to them. Like then, you know, you start talking about Disney World, like all the assets of Disney go in front, whereas that's the same thing with Vought. Like they have to be that. I don't think we should think about them as just assets or just characters, and they should be superheroes, but they're being presented to us as, you know, just assets more than anything else.
Okay, and the end of this particular episode, what were your thoughts about the end of the episode? The ice skating rink, Huey, A-Train saving him, Homelander killing people, the thought about them wanting to kill the president. Yeah, all of that.
My thought is they killed a lot of people this episode, and they have put people in place that they can make sure all this stuff is covered up. But I mean, these dudes are like really sloppy and everything. Homelander has maimed all the ice skaters, so they had to cover it up with the fire. But in that same vein, they've already showed that the people in this world that are bought into Homelander are going to believe anything that's put in front of them, even though they know it's not true. So again, no subtext, just text. The end with Deep and Sage is really weird because Deep is just weird to me. Even though he's like a sexual deviant, and that can be fine. And she just Sage seems like up to this point, she just seemed like I forget. It's like I want to say it's like sapiosexual or something. Just people that like just to read and stuff and don't really have like any other like sexual desires. So until that moment,
I had to Google that instrument that was left there.
That was going to be my thing. What was that? Because I had no idea.
So yeah, so her power is that she's the smartest person. But how is she the smartest person? She can constantly learn. Like her brain constantly regrows itself. She kind of talks about it. And then when you first see her, what is she doing? She's taking a dump, but she's listening to audiobooks, she's reading a book, and she has books all around her. So she can constantly take in that information. She lobotomized herself so she can damage her brain and be able to be in the moment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, what is that? I just could not get it.
Because like sometimes they focus on certain things. When they focused on that object, I was like, that object is important, but I have no clue what that is.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was. I'm like, I know this is important. I don't know what it is, but then that explains everything because her whole demeanor was changed while she was sitting there eating that blooming onion, and that would explain like why she goes from seemingly asexual to ready to jump on the deep. And that. Thank you. I appreciate. I needed to know that. I'm glad you had the answer.
It makes all the sense once you figure out what that tool is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so very much for joining us. We're going to be covering episodes 4, 5, and 6 next week. So stay tuned. We're going to get caught up so that you can enjoy the rest of these episodes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, y'all have a good one.